Today we're going to review the Kreg Track Saw. I picked this up a couple months ago and I've had a chance to use it on 2 projects, and today we're going to do a little more testing with it to try it out on a few other things. We're going to look at how it breaks down sheet goods, which is really the main point of a track saw. But if you don't have a table saw at all, I want to answer the question, can you get by with just a track saw? Can you do crosscuts on hardwood? Can you rip down hardwood? We're going to try that out today and we're going to see how it works. Now before we get into the testing, I'm just going to show you quickly what's included in the box, basically what you see here. Now the track measures 62 inches in length. The reason it's 62 inches is you need a little bit of overhang on either side of your 4-foot sheet of plywood so that the saw has room to register into the track before you start your cut and then pass through on the far side of your cut. If they made it just 48 inches, there wouldn't be enough overhang to do that properly. I want to talk a little bit about build quality. Overall, the build quality is nice. Compare this with some of the cheaper tools that you can get at Home Depot, like a Ryobi, for example. I would say it is a little bit better, probably getting closer to some of the Milwaukee or DeWalt. Give you just a rough idea of the build quality. So there's definitely some plastic on here. This main housing is plastic. A lot of these little bits here, basically all the stuff in black is plastic. And then everything that you see in gray is a cast metal. So it has this nice metal dust shroud. The dust shroud works really well. As long as you hook a vacuum onto this, you get basically 0 dust. And then underneath, you can see the base plate for this is all metal. So the other thing I'll show you is this blue piece here, which is also plastic, but this is an adjustment that you make. Really, you just need to make this adjustment once. And then the first time you plunge the saw, you're actually cutting through this blue chip breaker. So it gives you a 0 clearance on the blade. Anyway, I adjusted it once the first time I used it and haven't had to touch it since. So anyway, overall, the build quality is good. Is it gonna be as good as something like a Festool? No, but you know, this is also half the price. So overall, I think it's good value. It's good build quality for what you pay. All right, guys, let's get into the testing. So we've got 3 pieces of scrap here, 3 different material types. We've got your standard 3/4 inch plywood. We've got a 3/4 inch piece of red oak, and we've got a standard 2x4. Let's find out what happens. All right, guys, so obviously this thing passed the test. 3/4 inch plywood, no problem. I mean, nobody expected it to fail that test. That's what these things are designed for. The 2x4 didn't seem to struggle much at all. It just powered right through it. It also had no problem ripping the oak. Now this is 3/4 inch red oak. As you saw, it ripped right through it. And then cross-cutting, also no problem. So that's all fine and good. But you may have noticed getting everything aligned is pretty annoying. So, you know, these things are designed for breaking down sheet goods. Do I recommend buying one of these to replace a table saw? No. Only if you want to break down sheet goods. That's where these things really shine. As you saw, it handled the hardwood, no problem. You know, if you're working with thicker stock, you may need to make multiple passes. This thing, although it's reasonably powerful, you know, really thick hardwood, I think it would struggle. Now, the other thing to talk about is just the awkwardness. Trying to do smaller cuts on a table like this with the track. The track is 62 inches long, and that makes it pretty awkward for small cuts. Also, the other thing you have to keep in mind, the bottom of this track needs to sit flat. You can see these 3 black strips here so that it doesn't slide around. If you find you're cutting thicker material and you really have to push, it will slide around. So that's where getting some of those clamps that hook in underneath and hold it down to your workpiece. So that's a good idea, but your material needs to be wide enough. So if I have this thin strip of wood and I want to rip it down, as you can see, it's just not wide enough. So let's say I want to cut off, a 1/4 of an inch, the track needs support all the way across. So in order to make that cut, you need to take another piece of material that's the same thickness and put that underneath. Now I use this piece of 3/4 inch plywood, but surprise, surprise, this is not true 3/4 plywood, so that doesn't work very well. So you can see where I'm going with this. It ends up being pretty awkward.
So guys, if you're serious about using a track saw as a table saw replacement, you are definitely going to want to think about the Kreg ACS or adaptive cutting system. Anyway, that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for checking it out. This is not a sponsored video. I paid full price for this, and I just wanted to do a review, and hopefully it's helpful.